For those of you unfamiliar with my work, every year I read through every issue of every English language nutrition journal on the planet. So busy folks like you don't have to. I then compile the most interesting, most groundbreaking, the most practical findings into new videos and articles I upload nearly every day to my nonprofit site, NutritionFacts.org. Everything on the website is free. There are no ads, no corporate sponsorships, strictly non-commercial, not selling anything. Just put up as a public service, as a labor of love, as a tribute to my grandmother, whose own life was saved with evidence-based nutrition. Let me announce one special thing before I get to questions. That is tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right when the debates are starting. If you have made up your mind in this election cycle, if you are here in the States, and don't need any more information, but could use some good nutrition information, skip the debate. Come and join me and Brenda Davis, who is one of the colleagues I hold in most high esteem. She is who I go to with nutrition questions, and we're going to have both of us tonight on Instagram Live. And so just go to go to our Instagram address on Instagram, and it will pop up, and we'll be doing, I believe, about 45 minutes tonight. So enjoy that, and let's get to your questions. All right. The questions tend to rapidly go up so quickly, so I just kind of click on them randomly. And so hopefully if any vulgarities pop up on the screen, it's not because I chose that particular question, but just because that's whatever got clicked in the roulette. That is me clicking on questions. Okay. First one is from Eliza saying, can I go without all grains? Why would you want to? In fact, the Global Burden of Disease Study, which is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the largest study of disease risk factors in history, found that I believe number 2, it's either number 2 or number 3, on the worst things about humanity's diet. Number 1 is sodium. And number 2, I believe, is inadequate fruit intake. But number 3 is inadequate whole grain intake. So that's one of the worst things about our diet. It kills more people not getting enough whole grains or diet. So I'd encourage you. Now, is it possible? Yes. You could get all the nutrients you need eating lots more legumes and nuts and seeds and things. But you would be missing out on easy, cheap, wonderful nutrition. Grains are what I had this morning for breakfast in my bro bowl, which you'll be familiar with my new cookbook. How Not to Diet cookbook comes out this December. That's what I'm getting everyone on my gift list. So you can pre-order it now. All proceeds, of course, like all my books, go to charity. Next question. Maria asked, should you wash nuts, seeds, dried fruit, legumes, legumes before consumption, like you do with fruits and vegetables? Well, you're cooking legumes and grains. I mean, the reason that it's so important to wash fruits and veggies under running water is because they're typically eaten, maybe eaten raw. And so you want to make sure there are no, we want to try, the solution to pollution is dilution. We want to dilute out any potentially pathogenic bacteria on those fruits and vegetables. You do not need to wash your nuts, seeds, dried fruits, legumes, or grains. All right. Next is 105/622 low for blood pressure. The ideal blood pressure is under 110/70. And you, Jason, nailed it. Congratulations. Basically, you want your blood pressure as low as possible without becoming symptomatic. So if you're getting dizzy or something, that's a problem. But if not, that's fantastic. Sounds like you might be an athlete. Greetings from Brazil, says Rosanna. Greetings back to you. Mark says, will putting chopped cabbage in the fridge stop sulforaphane from forming? So this is obviously a high-level question. I love high-level questions. I love low-level questions. Beginners questions, ask anything that comes to mind. Just to give a little background for people, sulforaphane is we believe to be a key active ingredient in why cruciferous vegetables are so good for you. That's the cabbage family of vegetables like collards, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, arugula, and cruciferous vegetables. So sulforaphane basically only found there. That's a little oversimplification, but basically, and so if you don't eat cruciferous vegetables, you do not get sulforaphane for the day. That's why it's one of my daily dozen. On the daily dozen checklist, well, the healthiest of healthy foods I encourage people to fit into their daily routine, available free as an app on iPhone, Android, Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, cruciferous vegetables. Okay, but Mark is asking, wait a second, well, okay, and then the sulforaphane is only formed when you chop it or bite it, and the enzyme that makes sulforaphane is destroyed by cooking, so you want to pre-chop your cabbage before you cook it or eat it raw. And so what if you chop your cabbage and put it in the fridge? Will it stop sulforaphane from forming? No, it will not. That's a great idea. Sorry for the long answer, the short answer to the long question, the long answer to what should have been a short answer. All right. All right. I'm just going to click the button. No whammies. No whammies. Remember that game show? Okay, here we go. Tofu Tuesday asks, I don't know. Oh, is replying to somebody else. Okay. Lied asked, do I recommend taking creatine regularly for someone working out often? I do not. But you'll note I did a creatine, a video about lowering homocysteine for people who get adequate greens and beans intake, i.e. adequate folate intake, and they were also getting their B12, but still their homocysteine levels is in double digits, higher than 10. And then, so I would suggest try a gram of creatine a day. And I told how to get a contaminant-free creatine and see if that doesn't bring your homocysteine level down. That, as far as I'm concerned, is the only indication that I am comfortable with to date. Okay, Automaton 111 asks, Magnesium threonate, and ashwagandha for brain health. There's no need for any kind of special magnesium. I don't think you need to take magnesium. Magnesium is found in plant foods. That's what's in the center of every chlorophyll molecule. So anything that's green got lots of magnesium. I have not looked into ashwagandha, and so I can't comment. Angelina asked advice for a high schooler wanting to conduct research under someone. High schooler. I would contact them. I remember in college, I was really interested in bioelectromagnetism, the effects of electromagnetic fields on biological systems, such as, power lines and leukemia rates, that kind of thing. And so it was summertime, and I was like, I'd love to do research in this area. So I contacted the world's leader in the field, like cold contacted out of the blue, and said, hey, Dr. Andrew A. Marino, protege of Robert O. Becker, and said, can I work in your lab? And guess what? I ended up working in their lab. How cool was that? So you never know. Look, who wouldn't want some cheap labor? If you can prove yourself to be competent and, trustworthy, and, you're not going to drop any glassware, maybe so just shoot for the stars. That's what I'm saying. All right. Next question. MC, kind of, asks, what probiotics do I recommend? I recommend the probiotics that are naturally found on raw fruits and vegetables, right? The reason why, the way you make sauerkraut is you take cabbage, you dunk it in salt water, and poof, you don't need to add lactic acid producing bacteria, because those are naturally found on the leaves themselves out in the field. And the salt just keeps the other bad bacteria from growing, and poof, you have all this fermented cabbage. Now, I wouldn't recommend eating or making sauerkraut because of the excess sodium. We don't want all that salt, but it just goes to show those good bacteria are there on the fruits and vegetables. and you will get them in your gut. Not that you need to take any probiotics at all, because you have good gut bugs in your gut already, unless you just did certain antibiotic regimens. And so you just have to feed the good gut flora you have. And what do? We feed them with prebiotics, which is fiber-resistant starch. So particularly legumes, beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils, and whole intact grains. That's the best things. That's the Bro Bowl I had this morning. It's a prebiotic bounty for our good bacteria, and we get those fiber feeders feasting. Because, if you have a bad ecology down in your gut, you can take all the good bacteria you want, they'll just die off. It's why you don't have enough in the first place. And so treat the cause by providing a nice environment for them, feed them lots of good fiber. So, but if you do have antibiotic associated symptoms, so you have like diarrhea, chronic diarrhea after taking certain antibiotics to destroy your gut bugs, then I think then there would be an indication for kind of a mixed acid alphalase product. You'd want to make sure it's still alive, et cetera, et cetera. But on a day-to-day basis, just eat lots of good stuff for your gut bugs, which is rich in starch fiber, found in all whole plant foods, but predominantly in some of the drier foods like legumes and whole intact grains. Sharina says, what are my thoughts on, I thought I was going to say bacon. I was like, my thoughts on bacon are easy, but I've never heard of bacopa, and mushrooms for brain health. The videos on mushrooms, the science out there on mushrooms, more for immune function that I found. Anything else for mushrooms? Anti-inflammatory, immune, not necessarily for brain health. Oh, although I think I do have a video talking about the various kind of a portfolio of foods that are associated with good cognition. I think white mushrooms fell in there as well, but never heard of bacopa, and mushrooms have never been put to the test in an interventional trial like they have for immune function. Mimi says, eating unhealthy in an unhealthy household. That is really difficult. So the way you eat healthy, the secret to eating healthy is surrounding yourself by healthy food, right? You control your environment, right? It's not about willpower. It's not about white knuckling it. It's just surrounding yourself with good, healthy food. And then if all you have in the house is an apple, then you'll eat the apple, right? But if you have apple and cookies, maybe you'll eat the apple the first day, but those cookies are going to get eaten. So you just have no cookies around. Let me see. I'm getting called. I just want to make sure it's not because my sound is down or something. No, it looks good. But it's difficult to control your environment when you're surrounded by family members or housemates that have junk, that bring junk into the house, bring junk into your sanctuary, which makes it difficult. So what I would encourage them to do, if you find yourself unable to stick to a healthy diet, is to just have them, if they want to have cookies and crap around the house, have them lock it up. They have like these little plastic crates with little combo locks or whatever. Just have them lock it up, and, let them go through the extra step of finding the key to get to their bonbons or whatever. But just so you don't have easy access to crap. Hopefully that's helpful. Ideally, though, they would want to support you because they care about you, they love you, and would want to, make it as easy as possible for you to live a long, healthy life. And maybe they should, give that apple a try themselves. All right. Loti Gugsa says, tablespoon of salt. Oh, my God. Jesus. Tablespoon of salt. Are you crazy? Yes. Terrible. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'd rather you drink a tablespoon of oil than a tablespoon of salt. But, of course, there's no reason to drink canola oil at all. We should get all our fat from the place. We should get all our nutrients, which is from whole plant foods. So, eat some nuts, seeds, avocados or something. And please don't add salt to your food. Okay, Universal Earthling asks, Do any randomized control trial with verified outcomes in medical literature show that face masks prevent the dun 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 dun? Prevent the what? I guess you have to have really short questions or they don't show up in here. Randomized control trials. We do have randomized control trials showing face masks with verified outcomes for other respiratory pathogens. And so it's a good idea to protect, not so much protect yourself, but protect others from you. That's why mask wearing is particularly important, like influenza, for days before you start showing symptoms. After coming in contact with this virus, you can look perfectly fine, feel perfectly fine, but be exhaling virus with every breath, infecting your loved ones or strangers. And so by having a mask on, particularly in indoor, crowded, enclosed spaces with poor ventilation, you cut down the risk of hurting other people. And so it is a sign of respect for your community. Rose says, can you take melatonin? Well, you could do anything, but it's not necessarily good for you. And so I have a video, maybe a series. I see a series of videos talking about the role of melatonin in sleep, how you can get it naturally in certain foods like pistachio nuts. And that would be preferable to taking supplements because of contaminants found in melatonin supplements that look concerning, contaminants found widely contaminating melatonin supplements. So I encourage people not to take them. Okay. Oh, we already did the salt and oil. Someone is being mean to somebody. Listen to death metal. Asks, how do you remove the Epstein-Barr virus? I know of no lifestyle interventions that could remove the Epstein-Barr virus, even if you listen to death metal. Jim Buck appreciates my work. That's fantastic to hear. Top 5 supplements. Number 1, vitamin B12, critically important for anyone. I'm eating a plant-forward diet. Oh, in fact, it's funny. I was just reading an article that referred to plant-dominant diets, and they the article abbreviated Play-Doh for plant-dominant. So it's like people eating Play-Doh did really good in the study. Anyway, it's kind of funny. I'm sure I'll throw that in a video somewhere. But you heard it here first. Okay, number 1, vitamin B12. Number 2, for those with inadequate sunshine intake, I'd recommend vitamin D3 supplements, 2,000 international units a day. I also think people should consider a contaminant-free source of the long-chain omega-3 DHA, 250 milligrams a day, which is so these has to be yeast or algae-based sources. That's 4. Is that 4? B12, GD. No, that's 3. Okay, 4 would be if you don't like turmeric, if you don't like the taste of turmeric, here I am telling people in my daily dozen, quarter teaspoon of turmeric a day. You're like, oh, I hate turmeric. Okay, well then fine, put it in a capsule. I mean, you can buy capsules, straight turmeric, not an extract, not anything else added, just pure turmeric, just powdered turmeric, period. Then yeah, you can put that in a capsule. Take that, take your quarter teaspoon that way. Number 5, amla. So, I talk about all these studies about dried Indian gooseberry powder. Tastes nasty, so probably easier to take it in a supplement. And bonus number 6, Nigella seed powder, this black seed powder. As I talked about in How Not to Diet, has all sorts of benefits beyond just accelerated weight loss. Now, I just grind it on. You can put it in a black pepper grinder and grind it on. It has a peppery taste, but some people don't like the taste of pepper. They're crazy, but to each their own. And so if you don't like it, just like turmeric, if you don't like the taste of turmeric, then how are you going to get this spice in your body? You can get powdered, again, single ingredient powdered Nigella black seeds. That would be, there's 6 for you for the price of 5. Though only 1 critically important, and that's vitamin B12. Or you could die. All right, Tamar says the salt in miso harmful because there's soy in it. What about soy sauce or a salty meal with tofu? Fantastic question. Okay, so I did this video talking about how sodium has all sorts of terrible effects beyond just high blood pressure. So it hurts your arteries, even if you have low blood pressure. It increases your risk of stomach cancer. It's the reason why, for example, South Korea and Japan have the highest rates of stomach cancer in the world because of these, salted vegetables and salted fish. But those are the two primary. We're concerned about high blood pressure, and we're concerned about stomach cancer risk. And so look, miso is a whole soy food, but packed with sodium. So wait a second, that can't be good for you. But it turns out that seems to be the only high sodium food not associated with high blood pressure or stomach cancer. And so this is a study done in Japan where they were eating tons of miso. I think it was like 3 bowls of miso soup a day compared to, I forget, probably less than 1 bowl a day. And even that massive salt load, but in the form of miso, did not increase risk for hypertension or stomach cancer risk. So we're like, oh my God, okay, so here's how you can get the salty taste without the adverse effects. And so that's why, for example, in my new cookbook, How Not to Diet cookbook coming out this December, there's no salt added, no oil added, no sugar added. How do you make something sweet without sugar? Well, there's all sorts of ways. How do you make something salty without salt? Miso. So a lot of the sauces, dressings, things like that will have miso added. Has a salty taste, but without the downsides. And so this person, that's the background of this question. This person and so in the video I talk about, so the investigators kind of speculate on why the miso is not harmful. And they say, well, it's probably because it has the soy in it. And so soy, you just give people soy, forget the sodium. You randomize people to soy, you drop their blood pressure. Amazing, all right? Now, miso doesn't actually drop your blood pressure. So the thing, look, the soy is lowering your blood pressure. At the same time, the salt is raising your blood pressure. So it will kind of even out. Maybe that's why there isn't a problem. And, soy may have anti-cancer effects, and that may be. And so this questioner is thinking, being like, well, wait a second. If the soy can counteract the salt, well, why can't I just add a lot of salt, but then put some tofu on my meal? Okay. That's because, even if that was true, if that was why, it was the soy and the miso that was doing it, you don't want a neutral effect of a meal on your blood pressure and cancer risk. You want a blood pressure lowering effect, right? Is your blood pressure under 110/70? Is it ideal? Well, if not, well, then you don't want a neutral effect. You don't want to cancel out the effects of sodium. You want to actively lower your blood pressure and your cancer risk. And so you would do that by adding that tofu without the salt. And yeah, something like soy sauce, way too salty. If you're going to use something, I've found that coconut aminos has kind of a soy saucy taste, much less sodium. In fact, much less sodium than the Bragg's liquid aminos, and then diluted with water, heavily diluted with water. It has like a little sweet taste, has a little but it has that kind of umami taste. That's probably the best kind of soy sauce substitute that I could think of. But still, better not to do it. But you got to stick your avocado, cilantro, sesame seed sushi in something. All right, next up, Toto 850 says, do I recommend taking spirulina and chlorella? How many? Well, that's funny. We can't raise hands. We can't do quizzes or anything. Well, at least I can't figure out how to do it. Anyway. But those of you who follow me, you should know. Spirulina, no. Chlorella, yes. Not saying you need to get chlorella, but if you do want some green powder for your Halloween decoration to make some Frankenmuffin, then use chlorella, not spirulina. I actually actively use chlorella. I sprinkle it on my popcorn with nutritional yeast, some onion powder and some garlic powder and some Tabasco and some sprayed vinegar to make it stick. Delicious. In fact, I may have that tonight. Although, yeah, tonight's it's gonna be a long night. But yeah, maybe as a treat to myself, As long as I'm not eating after 7 o'clock, right? That's one of the 21 tweaks. All right, quick. All right, next up. Thank you, Maria, is valerian root, healthy. So valerian root is taken for sleeplessness, to make people sleepy. Smells like used gym socks, but is it bad? I don't know. Haven't looked into it. Sorry. So I don't know if it's harmful, harmless, or helpful, but if enough people ask this question, I'll do a video about it. Amin asks, which is the best supplements to take for an enlarged prostate or bladder? I've got, it's not supplements, it's foods you can eat. Flax seeds. So I remember doing, that's a really early video, like 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago video. I'm talking about head-to-head, I think, of tamsulosin, which is a drug used for enlarged prostate, versus flax seeds. And I forget if flax seeds worked better or worked just as well without the side effects. But I have a bunch of videos on BPH. Just type in BPH, which is benign prostatic hypertrophy or enlarged prostate, BPH or just enlarged prostate, into NutritionFacts.org. The search bar will pull up all the things you can do, all the foods you can eat that can help the dietary patterns overall. Okay, Gabriella, almond milk, good or bad? Well, you know the answer to this. Anyone who's read my book, How Not to Die, the answer to a question, is this healthy? The answer is another question, which is compared to what? Compared to dairy milk? Absolutely. Compared to soy milk? No. So it's good compared to cow's milk, bad compared to soy milk. So I encourage people to drink unsweetened soy milk. That is the healthiest milk out there. Of course, you don't have to drink any milk at all, right? I mean, still processed food, but if you are going to use milk for some healthy purpose, right? If you put it on Fruit Loops, doesn't matter what kind of milk. It's all bad, right? But if you're using that milk to, moisten your oat groats in the morning, well, then unsweetened soy probably the best. Okay, Vaughn asks, advice for postmenopausal women on dealing with insulin resistance. Oh, interesting. Okay, sweet tofu plant-based diet. Weight loss. I mean, the way you can be insulin resistant eating healthy. So insulin resistance primarily is from buildup of fat within your muscle and your liver. And that fat can come from one of two places: from your mouth when you eat it. We're talking about saturated fat in particular. So if you eat, a lot of meat, dairy, eggs, or tropical oils like coconut oil, you can increase insulin resistance, raise your blood sugar levels. Or the fat, even if you have a perfect diet, it sounds like you are, the fat can come from your fat stores. So there's a spillover effect. I have videos about this, saying that if you have particularly, we're talking about visceral obesity, abdominal obesity. This is not the flabby outside fat, but underneath your abdominal musculature. It's the fat deep, kind of coiled around your intestines, infiltrating your liver. That's the bad fat. That's why we want our waist circumference less than half our height. Waist circumference, like around the belly button, should be half our height. If it's not, that could be a cause of your insulin resistance. But thankfully, that's the most dangerous fat on the body, and it's the first fat to go when you start eating healthier. So the fact that you switch to eating healthier, your body fat should decline, and your insulin resistance along with it. Oh my God! I only got a minute left. That's crazy. All right. Okay, I've got good news though. Dun-dun-dun. For those of you who missed my announcement earlier, tonight, as the debate starts, I'm not going to be watching the debate. I am going to be live on Instagram with one of my favorite dietitians in the whole wide world, Brenda Davis, who is amazing and brilliant, and I can't wait to pick her brain. And we will both be answering your questions for 45 minutes tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And so it's Instagram live. So you got to go to Instagram to the Nutrition Facts page, and that's where it will start. No need to remind people, hopefully 12 days, if you're here in the States, to our election. Don't forget to vote, and you can find out more at vote.org. And for anyone watching this on YouTube, if you don't want to miss any of our new videos, there's a little bell icon, evidently. Just click at the bottom right of this video. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Subscribe to NutritionFacts.org, to our newsletter. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter. I love you, everybody. Talk to you tonight. And stay safe and eat your veggies.